Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Otaku Heaven coming at you with another anime episode review. Today I'll be reviewing episode 9 of Ajin. And this episode, I've got to say, is the most fucked up episode yet of Ajin. I mean, you had people before, doing all these experiments on the Ajin that were terrible, basically pushing them past the brink of pain's extent. Basically, they were doing everything they could to basically harm these guys without killing them to as far as they could harm them without killing them, just to see how far their limits could reach. And so many other things, basically putting them out of their misery, keeping them locked up like they're a dead body. A lot of things going on. A lot of things. But this one just blows them all out of the water so far. For starters, I mean, um, K. Who knew he had it in him? Basically, K was always supposed to be the good guy. He isn't even going to help Mr. Sato in whatever he's doing, killing all the humans. He doesn't want to do that. But if it comes to an agent, he's basically gonna this dude Nakana Ko basically comes up to him asking him for help, saying that he's seen the error in Sato's ways and he wants to help Nagai K fight back Sato so they basically can make the agents, you know, assimilated into the real world, because if Sato ever attacks the real people, then it's never going to be possible. So the dude's like, he's hungry, and Kay's like, well, I'll take you back to my place, or well, to a place deeper into the woods. We can't talk here, obviously, for the purpose of helicopters and stuff. And Kay kept saying that, he finally found a safe zone. So he's really intent on keeping this place. He was acting as the grandson of this grandmother that basically had a grandson that was in trouble with the law, and the guy K is in trouble with the law too. So he goes back to her house and makes him some basically some onigiri with poison in them, and feeds that poison to Nakana, basically trying to completely immobilize him. So as soon as Nakana realizes that this is poison, he tries to slam his head against a rock in order to kill himself, but that didn't work. So he tries to run to the water to commit suicide, basically by drowning himself to reset his character, or to reset his Ajin, so he won't have any of the poison in his system. So Nagai K resorts to plan two. He's gonna knock the dude out. Basically, if he attacks him, hits him in the chin with a piece of wood, then he can knock him out and keep him unconscious with a cup for a couple of hours. That fails, so he winds up having to kill him by, or almost kill him by asphyxiation. It takes him a while to die by that rate, so Cave had plenty of time to lock him into solitary confinement in an old truck that had basically crashed off the side of a cliff. So basically, Kay did leave him some humanity. He left him a little hole to do his business outside of, so he didn't have to sit in there with it the whole time. He even said he was going to bring him some magazines. So the dude's like, well, why did you help the scientist? I know that you helped that scientist. You didn't try to kill him. He goes, well, I've been thinking about that myself. Well, he's in with the government. That's a lot of pluses. He's got a lot of value in knowing a lot more about the agents than I know, or the agents than I know. So, he's very useful to me right now. And he did bring up one interesting point. He's like, well, he asked Kay, why wouldn't he help anybody? Kay goes, well, people always die to poverty or brutality or anything in any area basically. So why don't you go help them? But because I mean, obviously he wants to help the agents or the agents, however you want to say it now. But he didn't want to help them before the other guys before that were dying from poverty and hunger and all that. So what makes him exactly want to do this? Just because he's an agent, that doesn't make him a good person. So Kay is not really worried about him. So he's gonna keep him locked up. Another thing that happened was Tozaki's basically got an underling that's following him around waiting to kill him if he doesn't come up with an IBM countermeasure for the attack on the pharmaceutical company. And the media is basically hounding the pharmaceutical company about the agent experiments, saying that there's a lot of evidence pointing to it. But Tozaki's pretty convinced that the public has already discredited the media, saying that they're basically useless on their information. Everybody's worried about Sato starting up his whole corporation. And Sato basically trades for some unmarked trucks and untraceable trucks with a lot of boxes of something in there. Didn't really get to see what it was, but he traded a bunch of obviously human organs and stuff to them from the agents that he has working under him right now. So now he has a fleet of vehicles that are untraceable, along with boxes of whatever it is. That's going to be very useful to him later on. And Sato, so basically Sato's getting started up. Kei's found the safe zone. Nakana's locked into truck, so he can't really affect Kei. He can't really affect Sato, even though Sato's looking for both Kei and Nakana. But Nakana's basically out of the picture right now until Kei decides what he wants to do with him, or he finds a good way to escape. But that's where we're at right now. And Tozaki's basically trying to get all this information out of a scientist. The scientist from before wasn't actually dead. He was just basically kept getting beat until he gave out information. The only thing he wanted for in exchange for information was someone to go get his cigarettes out of his car. So he basically had him break all of his well, a couple of his fingers and beat the shit out of him just because the dude wanted a cigarette. And they thought he wasn't gonna talk, but the cigarette actually made him talk. So he went and got the cigarette. He's talking now. That's what we're about. That's where we left off. The whole thing was there was a lot of there was definitely a lot of character progression with Kay. I mean, his sister was like he's one of the worst people in the world. I mean, you gotta see that now. I didn't think he was as bad off as what his sister was portraying him to be. But Kay's pretty bad right now. But then again, if you find yourself in a situation like that, you probably have to make some rash decisions somewhere along the lines of that as well. So I can't really say anything about that because I don't know what I would do in that situation personally, because I might want to stay safe too. So anyway, he basically is doing what he can to survive and maintain his safe zone. Can't really blame him there, but it is still really fucked up. And and we've got a little bit of progression from the police trying to out Tazaki, and also Sato getting started up. So that's where we're basically left off. This episode was pretty good and pretty brutal as far as what Kay did. So I'm gonna give this episode a 9 out of 10. I really enjoyed it because I mean to get that much character progression on our main character and for it to be that crazy, I mean you just can't not enjoy that. But I've 9 out of 10 guys. That's what I think. Peace.